Hello, if you are watching this video, you have decided to do 6.6. 6.6 notes and the assignment are both going to be extra credit since barely anyone was here on the odd day to do them. So if you're here on the even day doing them, it'll be extra credit. If you're doing it again from the odd day, it'll be extra credit. But they are useful things to know that you will use in the future, especially in Algebra 2. So 6.6 notes is almost the exact same as 6.5 notes. The big one difference is our a value is now greater than 1. So that means we have a number in front of x squared, and all that does is it changes. So instead of using 6.3 factoring, we're going to be using 6.4 factoring. So step 1 is the exact same as it was in 6.5. That's step 1. Use 6.1, do the negative b over 2a to find your axis of symmetry, find your vertex, graph it. Step 3 is the exact same as it was in 6.5. That's finding our y-intercept, plug in 0 for x. It's always going to end up being our c value. We are still going to plot the exact same way. The only thing that's different is how we find our zeros today. So that's the big thing that's different, is how we factor. We need to do that method of factoring where we use our magic x, find two numbers that multiply to AC, add to b, then we use those middle numbers to split up our middle term, and then we factor using grouping, and then we still set them equal to 0 and solve to find our zeros. So that's the only thing that's different today. So going on the back of this sheet, there's two examples. Let's do them both. So from 6.1, it's the exact same as what we've been doing. X equals, ooh, that's a little too thin. X equals negative b over 2a. We're going to plug in b. I guess I should fill out these blanks first. A is 4, b is negative 16, c is 7. So we fill in b. So that's going to be negative 16 on top of our fraction over 2a, which is 2 times 4. A value is 4. So now negative 16 is positive 16. On the bottom there, 2 times 4 is 8. So I've got 16 over 8, which is just 2. So that means my axis of symmetry is 2. I'm going to go ahead and graph that at 2. Graph my dotted line. Once I know the x value of my axis of symmetry, that is also the x value of my vertex. I can also plug that in to find my y value. So I'll do 4 times 2 squared minus 16 times 2 plus 7. I am going to work that out. I could either plug that all into a calculator or work it out by hand. I'm going to work it out by hand because I don't want to switch my page to a calculator here on my iPad. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So I've got 16 minus 16 times 2 is 32. So 16 minus 32 is negative 16. Negative 16 plus 7 is negative 9. So that means my vertex is at 2, negative 9. So I can go ahead and graph that. I go over 2, down 9. Okay. Continuing on from there. And as you're watching this, if I'm going too fast, pause it. If you have questions, pause it, and then ask me in real life person for help. So next thing that we need to do is factor. We are going to use that magic x method. We find two numbers that multiply to AC. So a times c goes in the top of my box. 4 times 7 is 28. And then b goes in the bottom. It's negative 16. Numbers that multiply to 28 and add to negative 16. My factors of 28 are 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. 2 and 14 add to be positive 16. And then if we make them both negative, they would still multiply to be positive, but they would add to be a negative. So I'm going to take my original function. I'm going to rewrite it right here. 4x squared minus 16x plus 7. I'm splitting up this middle term here into that minus 2x minus 14x now. So I've got 4x squared minus 2x minus 14x plus 7. And I am now ready to factor by grouping. Oh, what just happened? 4x squared minus 2x and negative 14x plus 7. Out of 4x squared and negative 2x, I can pull a 2 and an x out of both of them. When I divide that out, 4x squared divided by 2x leaves behind a 2x. Negative 2x divided by 2x leaves behind negative 1. Next up, I've got negative 14x and positive 7. I can divide those both by 7. And then since that 14 is negative, I'm going to divide by negative 7. So negative 14x divided by negative 7 leaves behind positive 2x. 7 divided by negative 7 leaves behind negative 1. So then my factored form will be 2x minus 1, because those are my matching guys, and 2x minus 7. Okay, at this point, if you have questions about factoring, either go back and do 6.4 if you haven't, or ask for help if you need help. I am going to zoom in here just so I can write a little bit smaller. I'm going to take each of those factors. 2x minus 1 equals 0. 2x minus 7 equals 0. So I'm setting them each equal to 0. To solve 2x minus 1 equals 0, I would add 1 to both sides. So I get 2x equals positive 1. And then I divide by 2. And remember, I'm going to leave these as fractions. So my first 0 is x equals 1/2. The other one, 2x minus 7 equals 0. I would add 7 to both sides. We get 2x equals positive 7. And then to get x by itself, I'll divide by 2 on both sides. And I will get x equals 7/2. And again, I'm going to leave it as a fraction. X equals 7/2. Okay, so from here, we can now go graph our zeros. Our zeros are kind of wonky to graph when they're these fractions. We're just going to do our best. So I'm going to zoom way into this, which is nice that I'm on the iPad. I can do that. 1/2 is in between 0 and 1. 7 halves is the same as 3.5. If I put 7 divided by 2 in a calculator, I would get 3.5. And so that's right in between 3 and 4. Okay. Last piece here, my y-intercept. My y-intercept is always going to be equal to my c value. So in this one, my y-intercept is 7, because my c value is 7. The reason why my y is always c is if I were to plug in 0 right here, I do 4 times 0 squared. If I were to plug in 0 right here, I do negative 16 times 0. I would end up with 0 minus 0 plus 7. 0 minus 0 plus 7 is just going to be 7. So I can go ahead and graph that up here at positive 7. And then I can also reflect that since it is 2 to the left. I go 2 to the right, and I can put a dot there. Okay, your U's on today's assignment are going to be super tall, super skinny, and look super weird. That's okay. Make sure you've got your points graphed, and then just do your best from there. But when we've got these extra numbers, how they end up shifting the graphs, it's kind of wonky. All right. One more. Same things. We've got 9x squared minus 18x plus 5. First thing is to find A, B, C. So A is 9, B is 18, C is 5. To find my y value, to find my axis of symmetry, I can do x equals negative b over 2a. So my b value is 18, so that's going to be negative 18. Oh, what happened? Negative 18 over 2 times my a value, which is 2 times 9. 2 times 9 is 18, so now I've got negative 18 over positive 18, which is negative 1. Okay, that is also the x of my vertex, and I can go graph it just with a dotted line. All right. To go find the y value of my vertex, I need to plug that in. So I'm going to do 9 times negative 1 squared plus 18 times negative 1 plus 5. Order of operations says I need to do exponents first. So negative 1 squared, negative times negative is positive, so that's going to be positive 1. So I'll have 9 times 1, which is 9. That's going to be what this right here is. And then 18 times negative 1 is negative 18. So now I've got 9 minus 18, which is negative 9, plus 5. So that is negative 4. Okay. So that is 6.1. Negative b over 2a. Plug it in. Next thing I need to do is my magic x. So for my magic x, and the top of it, I'm going to do a times c. So a times c is 9 times 5, which is 45. And in the bottom, I put my b value, which is 18. Numbers that multiply together to be 45 and add together to be 18 are 3 and 5. So I'm going to be splitting up this middle term here with that 3 and 5. So I've got 9x squared plus 18x plus 5. Now this 18x is what I'm going to be splitting up. So I'll have 9x squared plus 3x plus 15x plus 5. From 9x squared and 3x, I can divide out a 3x. 9x squared divided by 3x leaves 3x behind. 3x divided by 3x leaves a 1 behind. From 15x and 5, I can divide a 5 out of both of those. 15x divided by 5 is 3x. 5 divided by 5 is 1. From there, my matchy-matchy guys are the 3x plus 1. And then my other two, the rest of my other factor comes from here, this 3x and this 5. And it is 3x plus 5. Okay. I need to set each of those equal to 0 and solve. So 3x plus 5 equals 0. 3x, actually I should do them in order, sorry. So 3x plus 1 equals 0. 3x plus 5 equals 0. I'll subtract 1 from both sides. I'll get 3x equals negative 1. I'll divide both sides by 3. I'll get x equals negative 1/3. Leave it as a fraction. For my other one, I'll do 3x plus 5 equals 0. I'll subtract 5 from both sides. I'll get 3x equals negative 5. Divide both sides by 3. I'll get x equals negative 5/3. Okay. I have not been graphing as I go, so let's just find our y-intercept and then we'll graph everything. Y-intercept, 9 times 0 squared is 0. 18 times 0 is 0, so it's just this plus 5. So my y-intercept is just positive 5. Okay, so now we can go graph all that because I forgot to graph as I went. I graph a point at negative 1, negative 4. So go left 1, down 4. And then negative 1/3 and negative 5/3. So negative 1/3 is like negative 0.33333. So that is going to be in between 0 and negative 1, but closer to 0. Negative 5/3 is negative 1.6666667. So it's going to be in between negative 1 and negative 2, closer to negative 2. And again, don't worry about them being perfect. Just worry about them being at least in between the right numbers. My y-intercept is 0, 5. And then just like I did on the last one, since this is 1 to the right of my or my axis of symmetry, I'm going to reflect 1 to the left. Put a point there. And we are good. Connect it into a super tall, skinny U. There we go. So that is 6.6 notes. You get extra credit if you just did those notes with us on your notebook check. And then if you do the assignment will be extra credit. Again, if you have questions, ask me, please, in real life person. That's all. Bye.